Okay, never mind. That's not gonna work. Okay.
Already off to a great start.
Can the opening
Welcome to another episode of Murder Schmurder.
Clinkety clinkety.
The only podcast that will abandon their premise before it even starts.
Hell yeah.
You think you're going plan A, but we're going straight to plan D.
I was going to say plan B because that's actually my plan A. Pop those pills, ladies. Come on. Let's flush them out. While we still can.
Yeah. Like when a girl asked Joseph, like, do you have protection? He's like, yeah, I got a couple plan Bs in my bag. Don't worry.
Yeah, I got an incredibly dusted up, like crushed plan B in my wallet. You want to snort it?
He just blows it in their face after he's done.
Honey, you've already taken the plan B.
I put it in your dinner.
And that is the reveal. What's the fucking Christian Bale magic movie? Magician movie?
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Where he's like
The Illusionist or something like that?
No,
it's David Bowie's in it.
The
Prestige.
Prestige. Yes,
Yeah,
the
you got it.
Prestige.
You got
The
it.
Prestige.
Oh my God.
Well, to intro, that
That's
was
going
Joseph.
Hey, it's Joseph slipping plan Bs into drinks. No, I don't want to do that. This is Joseph. I don't slip anything in anything.
Did you just come inside me? What's that behind your ear?
Also come.
The Prestige.
And that's Austin.
And that's Jaime throwing us under the fucking bus.
Right, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's me. That's Jamie right here.
Grossest musician ever.
And that's Grant.
And that's Grant.
Congratulations.
Silently judging us all.
The Silent Peanut Gallery.
I am proud.
You're proud of the
proud
come
of you.
behind the ear?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of me too. Honestly.
Welcome to Murder Schmurder, everybody.
Welcome to Murder Schmurder.
Where we're going to be talking about cum today.
Well, so today's opening bit, the game plan that I pitched to specifically Austin first was I want to prove to our sponsors or potential sponsors that we can do a good read and we can make our own commercials. You just have to give us money and we'll take care of everything else.
Austin took this quite literally, and Jamie got pissed off when
You got mad at him?
yeah, he got mad at me. Not only did he get mad at me, he fucking yelled at me.
He yelled at you?
He
yell
yelled
at
at
you. I
yes,
didn't
you
yell
did.
at you.
Yeah, you were like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, Austin?" That's exactly. I've got the
want
fucking
the
receipts.
receipts?
I got
Play
the
the
receipts.
receipts then. Go
You
ahead.
ready? Here,
Yeah.
we'll start with this.
Okay, so hang on. Let me set it up. Can I just set it up?
the receipts?
Can I just set up the
You're
situation?
gonna set up your own receipts.
Okay, so we were talking, and he's like,
Here's
Austin,
why I was right to yell at Austin. This is what's
Austin
happening.
was excited, and he wanted to do. He's a big lover of Happen Harry's
The best beer on earth.
on Earth.
on Earth.
That's what I said.
The alternate Earth where things are better.
I might have had a Happen Harry's before this bit.
It's an Irish beer, apparently.
Happen Harry's. Best beer on earth.
And I was like, hell yeah. Okay, the bit that I was thinking about was making a Happen Harry's, instead of a Kool-Aid man, a Happen Harry's man. And the bit was Happen Harry's man is bursting onto the scene, like stopping the DD or the AA meeting. And then Austin was like, no, Happen Harry's wouldn't like that.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't.
Here is what Jamie sends me.
I had to explain that this was a bit and not us trying to get Happen Harry's to sponsor us.
Here's a bit that I think I want to do to help us find a sponsor.
Sorry, what was that last part?
To help us find a sponsor.
One more time.
Okay.
To help us find a sponsor. We prove that we can make a great commercial for your product.
Oh, so what does that sound like to old Donkey Brains Austin over here?
You want to play what I sent? I don't think I was yelling.
So we do one.
No, that's not it.
That's not it? Or you want to play? Or you want to send the one with you being a fucking asshole?
Maybe an asshole. It's like 3 back to back.
Yeah. We gotta go through all the memes first.
Yeah, for the listeners, Jaime doesn't send one voice message. He doesn't send 2 voice messages. Jaime sends 8 voice messages in a row.
And 17 memes.
Is this it?
Yeah.
I just want whoever's funnier.
No, no, that's about that's about hot dogs and bacon cheeseburgers.
Oh yeah.
What?
But I will say on the whole, keep bacon cheeseburgers because
Nope.
Okay, we're still on bacon cheeseburgers. Got it.
Yeah.
also if
Do I
they
need
are
to do this
sisters,
for you?
No, this is fun.
This is good podcasting.
It's bacon cheeseburgers.
No, that's something else.
We're lifting the veil. I
Oh,
like
I'm
this.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
The-
You're getting a deep
the
dive into our DMs.
mustard stained veil.
This is why I yell at Austin.
Dude, look at how many fucking memes there are in between us
you don't
talking
have to.
about
I'll
this.
pull up. Do I have to pull up my chat with Jaime and fucking show you?
To be fair, I am not complaining about the amount of memes because
No.
they are fun, and we say some outlandish shit.
The audience can probably assume we all text each other things that we're not willing to say on the podcast. It's probably heinous.
Fair.
Okay, I'll level with you right now. I'm sorry.
No. Back up. Oh, this is why I like to yell at Jamie. Fucking cocksucker. Jesus Christ.
This is a good opening bit.
Okay, so I just watched one of the videos. I see what you.
Where did we do this?
See?
It's good.
Here it is.
Again, you're missing the point. It's not about actually getting Happen Harry's. It's a bit. It's a joke. You're missing the point. It's not actually going to be.
See how fucking aggressive he's being right there?
You also literally told him it was to get Happen Harry's as a sponsor.
Also, he's clapping all of this.
Yeah, he's doing his goddamn karate chop to the table thing that he always does when he's trying to make a point. And then you see how he fucking at the very end of that?
I just assumed he was slapping his
Right.
balls against his thigh while he was like admonishing you
Right.
for being an idiot.
And then
For following his directions.
No, because that was there were so many other context clues, like the Tesla-thon,
like the context clue of let's
you
make
hung on-
commercials for people
you
in
hung-
order to get sponsors.
you hung on to one thing I said out of the 20 other things I said.
That was a clear direction that you gave him.
He's not giving the full context. Don't back him up.
What other context besides the next voice message being actually
That
never
was-
mind exactly what I just
That
told
was
you, but
not-
this is a bit.
That was not the first voice message. Well, that was the first of many. As you just said, I send a lot of voice messages.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just singularly that. There was a lot of other
So
material.
But
your
here's
point
the-
is that you told him what to do, and then you sent a bunch of other messages telling him not to do what you asked him to do.
Essentially, yes.
This is why you're single. Maybe not this is why, but this one. If I was a woman, I would be like, no. Unclear.
So,
This is and reason.
and might I add, this is at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
And
Sure.
to our dear listener, I just started a new job. It's a very new venture for me. It's a first thing. It's a first time. I'm actually having to work with a computer. I have accounts. I have things.
They gave me my own computer.
Right, like
He learned a new acronym.
Responsibility.
He learned a new acronym.
Yeah, you have acronyms for your
right.
job, dude.
What the fuck is a KPU and an SKU? He calls them SKUs.
He's using lingo for the lingo. How do I keep up?
Yeah, you're going to keep up with the SKUs.
Business talk
I
for
didn't sneeze.
businessmen.
Meanwhile, I've been without a job for the past 2 weeks, so I'm like, I can't lose this one. And the funny thing about your boy Austin is that when he gets into a place like this, he starts thinking to himself, "What the fuck is wrong with you? You piece of shit! You're a fucking loser." That's just me to myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And then I got this asshole coming over here. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why can't you fucking understand what I'm trying to tell you?
Why couldn't you have the sense to disregard the thing I told you to do? You stupid fuck.
I'm like going
The
through
first rule
where
of Fight
did
Club
I go wrong?
is you break the rules of Fight Club.
No, it's not, though. It's not even the first fake rule of Fight Club. What are you doing?
All right, so, anyways, We landed on PBR, man.
Is this still the opening?
Oh, yeah.
He goes, it sounds like we shouldn't do Happen Harry's. maybe we should do Bud Light or PBR. I was like, and then I said PBR makes sense because Wisconsin is notoriously alcoholic. He seems to think that Happen Harry's is out of reach for us, and I refuse to believe it.
I don't. I disagree wholeheartedly.
Right.
Not for people with 2,500 downloads.
You know why? Because
shit! We gotta tell the listeners.
That's right. Today's
That's
a very special
right.
day. We found out something very cool. Jamie?
We have 2,500 downloads, baby.
2,500
That's right.
Joseph's doing a little jig right now.
Yeah.
I'm doing my little uppercuts.
And I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of the way. Our official, unofficial sponsor is Corsair Distillery.
That's right.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
we can say that.
I was told to.
Hey, Corsair,
Yeah.
welcome
if you find
to
yourself
the family.
in Tennessee, we actually sell all over the states, but
Yeah.
Corsair gin. We got the
Drinking some right
We're
now.
actually sipping on the barrel
Here,
aged
listen
gin.
to
It
this.
we got
is
a barrel proof
delicious.
gin.
Listen to
We got a
this.
dark rye triple smoke. Fantastic product from a fantastic
That's
distillery.
good gin.
Oh, gin is so yummy. I like that the G is a G, but it's said weird.
What they do with this one is that they age rum in the dark rye barrels, and then after the rum's done, they age the gin and the dark rye barrels that have the rum that
in
was
it, yeah.
aged in it. And so
Oh.
you get like really like
There's a little inherent sweetness.
little
Yeah.
sweetness,
Of it.
but there's a lot of spices in there. You got cinnamon, you got coriander, you got
I'm
some
detecting
allspice.
Corey
Yeah. And
and her friend Cinnamon.
cool thing about Corsair is that they don't use any
How much
unnatural
of this gin
products.
did you have?
They use
Not enough to justify what I just said.
their distillation process is they extract it by vaporizing their botanicals, so they're not cooking it, which gives you a truer flavor to the gin. It's a really
That's
great
cool as shit.
company.
I did not know that actually.
Do they still brew beer?
No, they do not brew beer. Yeah,
For all the listeners out there, they used to brew beer, and they made my favorite beer
Did
that
they?
I've ever had. Yeah, it was a long time ago
Oh.
when they originally were in Marathon when they bought out the
Oh,
old.
yeah.
they're still in
Yazoo.
Marathon.
They're still in Marathon.
Yeah, but it is the old Yazoo Brewery.
Yeah, but at one point they were brewing beer, and they made, I think, the best beer that's ever existed. It was a barrel-aged IPA.
Oh, that sounds nice.
It was so good.
I don't like IPAs.
Oh, and you're stupid too, anyway.
Yeah, sorry, I don't like chewing through the hops of my beer.
But anyway, if you guys
Thirsty
happen to be at your favorite liquor store, you just got into a fight with your wife or kids,
Or if you want to
podcast-
celebrate,
fellow friend
relationship.
podcast.
right? Or if your favorite podcast got 2,500 fucking downloads,
yeah, maybe you want to celebrate the new episode of Murder Schmurder dropping on a Monday, Tuesday, or a Wednesday.
whenever we
whichever
decide,
day.
right? Whichever day. If you happen to be walking by a bottle of Corsair, anything, I highly suggest that you pick it up.
Corsair for angry drinking.
And fun.
Cut to the email of us. You are no longer allowed to discuss Corsair on your podcast. And we've taken the computer.
No, it is. It truly,
We've taken the computer.
and we've taken a computer. It is actually a wonderful distillery, and I got to meet the two owners forever ago. They're really nice guys. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I like it quite a lot.
Yeah, I liked it before they hired Austin, but now I like them even more
Well,
because it just means they have good taste.
what's
second
more to
that.
like?
So, anyways, PBR.
So anyway,
man.
we should probably
let's just jump right into the episode.
we got a lot.
We've got a
That's
lot
good.
to cover for today.
I got a lot.
What, no
to go through.
Tesla-thon?
No, we'll do that for the
That's
second
later.
part. We've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
a two-parter.
No, we'll argue about that for the second bit.
Fuck, it's only Wednesdays.
Okay, all right, y'all. Well, it's my turn to steer this ship.
All right.
We got a Joseph episode coming right at you.
Yeah, you know,
Caddy Daddy's in charge.
You know,
Taddy Daddy is firmly holding the ship mast, and it's shaped like a big dick.
Oh, Joey Two Balls. You know how he likes to go deep.
It's actually Joey 2.5 balls. And I have a little non-cancerous benign thing on one of my nuts. It's fine.
His name is Jerry.
You know, sometimes like when you get shut up. You know, like sometimes you get a pack of McDonald's nuggets and two of them are kind of wedged together.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like that.
Got it.
Yeah. But again, non-cancerous. It's actually a funny story about how I found out about it, but I'll tell it later.
I like the idea that Jerry just yells
This is
his name like a
starting to feel
Pokemon.
Huh?
This is starting to feel real.
Oh yeah, no, it's real.
Oh.
No, this is real.
Oh, fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is the thing.
No, this is the thing.
Oh.
I don't want to say I want
got
to see it, but
Well, now it's named Jerry.
I think I get to name it.
And
But okay.
and it yells his name like a Pokemon.
Jerry,
Jerry.
slap me against her ass.
Yeah, I'm voting for Jerry now. Yeah. I'm going to second Austin's Jerry.
Do you want for
Jerry Strokes, everybody.
How about part 2? I'll tell the story of Jerry.
There you go. Yeah. Part 2.
actually, let's not do an episode. Let's just talk to Jerry.
I just want to talk to Jerry.
I was gonna
Let
say
me
it.
get him up to the mic. Let's fucking hitch this leg up on this desk.
So how old are you, Jerry?
Jerry.
Jerry, I know it's been a long, smelly, hot life for you.
It's a little limited in
Smelly.
his locality.
Jerry. He doesn't put baby powder on me enough. I hate summer. I like to be pampered.
The other guys bully me.
Just because I'm a little lump. Anyway, well, now you guys all know that.
What are the testicles named? I'm thinking Sponge and Bob.
I was thinking Laverne and Shirley, but okay.
No, it's Jose Strokes and the Juice Crew.
Who's Jose?
Well, damn it, if that's not good.
Jose Strokes is my penis.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thanks. And
That's
the Juice
very
Crew
good.
is, you know.
I'm Jerry. I'm the part of the juice crew.
And they're like, get away, Jerry. And they're like pushing him away.
Yeah. Well, the other two are just like big. They're so big, and they're just called Unga and Bunga.
I'm doing a real deep dive on my jennies.
On his jitties.
What do you
Okay.
think, Uncle Booger?
My butthole's just like hitting with the broom, like, keep it down.
Trying to sleep.
Trying to make shit.
Trying to make shit over here.
I got a long day of making shit tomorrow. Shut up.
A curmudgeon-y adventure.
My butthole is like several decades older than the rest of it.
I'm holding back a storm over here.
The hot gravel's coming in.
I'm over here laying asphalt.
Asphalt. Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
All right, on to a lighter topic.
That's. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, we got to lighten up the mood first.
Yeah, seriously, because there's gonna be a lot of me gesturing and pounding the table. Okay. So normally on Murder Schmurder, we talk about one rogue nut bag. I wrote that before we started talking about balls, so I guess
You've been thinking about getting a bag all week, haven't you?
It's in the stars, my
It's
guy.
literally
So
written
first,
down.
I'm going to get him to talk about my balls.
No one has to know my secret thing is people talking about my jennies.
And then I'm going to hit him with the rogue nut.
His jitties. All right.
This is Rogue Nut coming in. Target is lock on.
Pull up, rogue nut.
You'll never make it.
Use the force, Jerry.
Just shoots a torpedo, but it's like a sperm. Fuck.
Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba. That's the Star Wars music. Ba, ba, ba.
You're welcome, Corsair.
Right. Jesus Christ.
So normally we just talk about one lone maniac, a person who has seemingly abandoned all of the social contract stipulations against, say, killing people, kidnapping and torturing, or eating poop. Today, wanted to do a little something different. Instead of discussing one person who's violated our society's rules, I want to talk about the society's rules themselves. That old-time Russian classic, Crime and Punishment. More specifically, I want to talk about the United States' prison system, the privatization of prisons, and the hidden economy of slave labor that pervades our lives.
Here we go.
You know,
Lock it in.
Strap in.
I always confuse. What's the Russian novel?
Crime and Punishment?
Crime and Punishment and Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
Close.
The
They're very
storyline's
different,
very
but-
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is something and something.
Yeah. Something.
What's that other one? Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde, written by Dostoevsky. I would watch the shit out of that. That sounds awesome.
Why
Yeah,
is this movie
maybe a
7
dark-ass
hours
movie.
long?
Bund and snip.
Okay.
All right. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and pre-apologize for the amount of ranting I'm going to do. I will try not to speed up angrily as I read, and I will try not to make aggressive hand gestures. However, this shit got me steamed. While writing the script, I had to take breaks to do push-ups, to walk around the house, to walk the dog. Researching this made me feel like I was having a pre-workout panic attack. So I will do my best to behave and remain coherent, but it is also me, so no guarantees.
Wow.
I'm also going to pre-apologize for the sheer wall of information we're going to hit into, really in order to talk about prisons, the industry they generate, the growth of prisons in the last couple decades, the intentional growth of prisons at that. We're going to have to talk about some social mores, some laws, how much harsher they've been designed over the years, and a whole host of other shit. So strap in. And while we are going to be talking about prisoners and why they're in prison, I also am going to be discussing the types of people who are incarcerated. Some people are going to want to quibble over this. I know prisoners aren't always the most sympathetic people, especially with how they're portrayed. Typically, in prison shows, you see Oz or Breaking Bad or whatever. Shows that portray them as lawless wastelands where the hardened correction officers are the only thing standing between these maniacs and a unsuspecting public.
I don't know. There's Orange is the New Black, which is
Well,
kind of
yes.
like, ooh, prison's kind of sexy.
Well, it's a spectrum, and Orange is the New Black is a
Boo.
pretty sexy show. But shut up. Nah.
You tell me they're licking carpet in there?
Oh my god.
If only the listener could see Grant's face when I said that.
And sure, if you want to, you can look up plenty of people who are in prison that absolutely deserve punishment. People who deserve to be tortured to death by force feeding them hot coals while they listen to every episode of Armchair Expert that Dax Shepard has ever recorded. Worst podcast ever. Fuck you, Dax Shepard.
That is not a new opinion of Joseph's. He's had that.
I've had that opinion for a
years.
long time.
Yes.
And yeah, those people do exist, but I would like to break down the types of people who are actually incarcerated. And you don't have to take my word for it. I have a lot of sources that have been cited. These are actually the U.S. Marshals Service-owned statistics. 47% of people who are incarcerated for drug offenses. 42% for public order offenses. 7% of people incarcerated currently in the United States are for violent offenses. And another 4% are for property offenses.
What's public something?
Public order offenses.
What
It'd be
would
like
that-
disrupting, like causing a scene in public,
Disrupting the peace.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that is that not also classified under like evading arrest? That's wrong. Resisting arrest.
Resisting arrest is indeed
and
and that's
then
Trump.
also a violation of probation. I think
Yeah.
falls under that one as well.
Resisting arrest is almost always added on to someone who has been arrested, whether they are resisting or not. Almost always tacked on for extra time.
Pretty regularly, yeah.
Now, if you guys will let me pause here for a second, it's time for one of Uncle Smokes' Don't Tread on Me smoke breaks, which is what I call when I'm about to get into a thing.
I like that's a nice. Whatever you just did, the trademarking, I loved it.
Thank you. The war on drugs, especially, we're talking 47% of people are incarcerated for drug offenses. The war on drugs is one of the most expensive, misguided, faux moral crusades the United States has ever gone on. From Reagan's Just Say No.
Worst president ever.
It's crazy. I was literally talking about this today with a coworker. It's crazy how often you look at one of our modern problems and it almost always traces back to something Ronald Reagan had a hand in or a pretty big or just like completely created on his own.
Yep.
So from Reagan's Just Say No to Clinton and Biden's, as well as several other senators and political figures, disastrously harsh crime bills to Giuliani's stop and frisk policies and beyond, the war on drugs has served only to destroy the lives of addicts, low-income families, and typically targeting minorities. These laws were specifically designed to impact low-income areas as well as to maximize prison sentences and civil fines on the people unfortunate enough to be crushed by the bloody wheels of the American justice system. It's worth noting that the American government is an old hand at pearl clutching while conducting shady shit in the background. Just for context for Reagan, while Reagan's Just Say No ads were airing, his administration was actively involved in funneling money from drug trafficking to Central and South American death squads and fascist militias who were actively engaged in CIA black ops to overthrow democratically elected, usually leftist governments.
Yeah, and a quick aside, something I learned literally last night. Reagan's administration, right when the AIDS epidemic broke out, it was a press conference. They were openly laughing about the AIDS epidemic.
Yep. Reagan didn't talk about AIDS in public one time during his presidency.
No, I believe it was his wife that did. She did a lot of talks basically saying, like, not good things about it. No. Like,
No.
We shouldn't do anything.
Well, if you just didn't put him in there in the first place.
Pretty much, yeah.
Old throat goat, Nancy Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
He was
But
also
she gives a mean blowy, by the way.
mean blowy. Go jizz on her grave.
Is that on record somewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's all over the place.
Ah.
It's true. Look it up.
I will.
As bear in mind, also
She was the original Hawk Tour girl.
yeah, bringing it back.
Mhm.
I was a
I
lucky
understand
man.
that reference.
That's recent.
So listen to this shit, for example. Back in the 80s, there was a huge news story about a crack dealer who had been caught selling crack in front of the White House. Corporate-owned news agencies spread this story like it was some new kind of plague. They used it to illustrate how truly out of control the drug trade was, that drugs were so prevalent that not even the president's home and seat of power was out of their reach. Well, there's a funny story about that. The crack dealer that they caught, he had been set up by the Secret Service, who had an undercover agent contact him to buy crack and then repeatedly hassled this guy into meeting him in front of the White House despite the dealer's obvious reluctance to meet there.
This doesn't really seem like a good idea. I feel like I'm being set up here.
Yeah.
No!
Dude,
I just
no.
want to buy crack in front of the White House.
Why are you being weird?
It's just been a dream of mine, okay?
You know, white powder, White House. It'll blend right in. Just hold it up to the light.
I'll meet you at the gate, right under the camera.
The what?
At 1600 Pennsylvania.
The code is 1776.
Tell them you're here to meet Jerry.
That was really good.
That is really good. It's really hard to overstate the impact and pressure of these hard-on crime laws on low-income Americans. These draconian sentencing laws, over-policing, and the mass closure of mental health facilities across the country effectively funneled thousands more people into the prison system. The Bureau of Prisons went right to work building and filling more prisons. For context, in the early 1970s, there were approximately 360,000 people in the United States that were living under supervision of the criminal justice system. That it was people who are in prison, people who are being actively monitored on parole. You know what I mean? Like people who are actively
Arrest, parole,
exactly.
probation. Yeah.
Over today, that number is over 5 million.
That's a little larger.
It's a little bit larger.
Yeah.
It's significantly larger. In fact, the United States has more of its citizens in prison than any other recognized democracy in the world, and it's not even close. I'll give you Massachusetts as an example. The birthplace of terrible beers, looking at you, Sam Adams, spilling Dunkin' coffee on your divorce papers, and my own wonderful wife, Sarah. I hate you, Massachusetts. I got the good thing out of you, and now she's mine.
Hang on. How many prisoners does Russia have? Or China?
I mean, I could Google it, but
I just want
less
to...
than us.
Percentage-wise less.
Percentage-wise less?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Massachusetts has the lowest incarceration rate in the United States, but the United States puts so many people in cages that Massachusetts' prison rate is still 20% higher than Saudi Arabia, 50% higher than China's, 100% higher than France's, and 700% higher than Japan's. And again, that is in Massachusetts, where it is the lowest incarceration rate in our country. 19% of American prisoners have served over 10 years. Another terrifying statistic is that the United States accounts for 4% of the world's population, but 83% of the world's prisoners serving life without parole.
Damn.
Yep. I'd also like to take a moment to talk about, as we said, who gets incarcerated versus who pays a fine for their crimes. I'm going to give you some recent examples of companies that are facing not jail time, dissolution, or nationalization and asset seizure, but fines. Because as we all know, if a crime is punishable by a fine, that really means it's legal for a price.
Yeah, of course.
Norfolk Southern, responsible for the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, along with Biden's strike breaking. Through their negligence, a cloud of hydrochloric acid and phosgene was released, killing most living things it came into contact with and dispersed enough to cover at least 16 states before the full scope of investigations were blocked. They had to pay a settlement that amounted to 0.63% of the company's worth. Boeing, who's icing whistleblowers like it's going out of style, killed 346 people in 2018 and 2019 due to their faulty-ass planes and have recently accepted a sweetheart plea agreement from the DOJ. This one is one of my both least and most favorite examples. Chiquita, a banana company. They're so evil, it's actually hard to overstate.
Don't say bad things about Chiquita.
Oh, dude, it's bad. They've been
You
bad
didn't
from
know
day
that?
one.
I mean, I knew.
Dude, it's been rough as fuck.
I knew that-
You heard about the Banana Wars?
I've heard about the Banana Wars. Yeah.
It's
My friend and I back in high school had a funny joke about putting the Chiquita banana logo tattooed on her ass.
It's good you didn't.
Yeah.
Because they're evil.
I had thought about it though.
I mean, listen, I love bananas. I eat a banana almost every single day, at least
Sure.
one. They're great, but not Chiquita. I mean, it's a complicated story that involves U.S.-sponsored coups, money funneled to and from corporations and paramilitary cartels, and, of course, Ronald Reagan. It deserves its own episode, but suffice to say, Chiquita, a banana company, committed mass murder and was found guilty of funding death squads in Colombia. For that, they were ordered to pay a one-time payment of $38 million. Again, a one-time payment that amounts to 1% of their annual revenue.
And don't you ever do it again.
Yeah. They learned their lesson, Joey. I mean, come on.
For the record,
That's a lot of money.
they-
I bet that hurt the CEO for a month.
they
For,
were
like,
on the
maybe
hook
a week.
Yeah,
They
he
were on
didn't
the
get
hook
to gas
for-
up his yacht that month. That sucks for him.
for one country, but like they fucked up a lot of Central America and South America, specifically my homeland, Honduras. But yeah, there was so much corruption in so many of the other countries where it could have potentially been proven, but it got pretty much washed under the rug or washed away. Well,
Swept under the rug.
Swept under the rug.
Well, think of how many decades later that they now got ordered to pay, again, a one-time fee, less than 1% of their annual revenue.
Okay, seriously, though, it probably hurt them, for like a week.
Maybe a week.
Okay, I'm done with that bit.
But
Go ahead.
I'm throwing a bunch of numbers. There's going to be a lot of numbers because there's a lot of numbers that have to do with this because the numbers are actually staggering. Like I said, I mean, you think about the explosion of the prison population in just a few decades, the amount of people who were kept monitored, locked under key, and exploited by the state versus, again, these are just like things. These are just companies that are in the news right now that are like most recent. If I really wanted to, I could give you like 5 episodes of corporate malfeasance and actual literal murder conducted by companies made up of people, right? We talk about companies as if they're some separate entity and we legally recognize them as such,
Corporations
which is
are,
fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Still makes me so mad. Citizens United, fuck the Supreme Court forever. But it's just crazy to me that like companies made up of people doing these things face nothing but like legal fees, whereas actual people get incarcerated and their families suffer. And I'm going to move on with the episode because I'm just going to start ranting again. 27 states and the federal government incarcerated 90,873 people in private prisons at the time of 2022. Representing about 8% of the total state and federal prison population out of a total of 1.2 million incarcerated people. And now I know what you're saying to yourself, but Joseph, Sleepy Joe already fixed this problem when he signed Executive Order 14006 in 2021. After all, the executive order explicitly and unequivocally states the Attorney General shall not renew Department of Justice contracts with privately operated criminal detention facilities.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's exactly what you were going to say, Grant. I can tell. And you know what I'm going to say? Wrong again, dummy.
But I remembered all those numbers.
Dark Brandon once again did what he does best.
And Darth Brandon.
That's what people call him. People are like, "Oh, so fucking cool. Look at Bonnie, he eats ice cream and fucking doesn't like take shit from people." Fuck you, libtards. Once again,
Go sign this with a corn butterscotch.
that's right. Did what he does best. Made an empty-handed gesture that didn't help anybody or really do anything. A lot like pardoning people in federal government for marijuana possession. There's no one who's in federal government or federal prison. No one's in federal prison for just marijuana possession.
Yeah, I know.
Biden decided to do what he does best when it comes to fascism, and the Supreme Court flagrantly ignoring the will of the people, and the United States Marshal Service blatantly ignoring this executive order. He's either actively making things worse or throwing his papery spider hands up and leaning into the mush-brained tyrannical enabler that he in his heart of hearts is. Now, moreover, while this executive order purports to close federal private prisons, it doesn't actually do anything for privately run state prisons or the nightmarish detention facilities that ICE operates. The Bureau of Prisons followed the executive order, closed all of its for-profit prisons, but the Marshal Service has not. An American Civil Liberties Union analysis of documents produced in response to a Freedom of Information Act request that shows that despite the executive order, the Marshal Service continues to hold nearly a third of its entire detention population in for-profit facilities, totaling about 20,000 people. It does this by exploiting two loopholes it has created that undermine the purpose of the executive order in the first place. Firstly, the Marshal Service has obtained repeated waivers from the White House that allow it to ignore the executive order and keep for-profit facilities open. The Marshal Service and White House have not publicized these waivers, and when internal government investigators asked for documentation of these waivers, they were told that no such documentation existed. Funny. Second, the Marshal...
Really.
No, it's not funny. It's upsetting. It's fun.
Oh, that was sarcasm.
Second, the Marshal Service has determined that it can continue to pay corporations to operate detention facilities for profit so long as it uses a city or county government as a middleman. Under this arrangement, known as a pass-through agreement, the Marshal Service pays a city or county government, which keeps a portion of the payment, and passes along most of the payment to the corporation that runs the facility. An internal government investigation found that these agreements actually cost the Marshal Service more and provides less control and oversight over operations at its detention facilities. So it costs more, and we have less of an idea of what's going on, and it's run worse.
Which is something I've been wanting to bring up so far. And, you know, if I'm jumping the gun here, is it in fact profitable? Does this actually make money? Like, is there even close to like a net gain on this whole horrific situation?
Grant?
Because we've gone from active, open, flagrant slavery to form this country.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved, not very quietly, to an aspect of indentured slavery in order to keep the country running, massive air quotes for listeners. Has this changed at all? Like, I mean, or is this actually worthwhile?
Grant, I'm glad you asked, because one, it's the best kind of capitalism is that it actually costs more for taxpayers. It costs more for people to have our tax dollars funneled to these corporations. It does a worse job. It makes more people at risk of death and at risk of suicidal behavior, generally treats them less well, and it only makes money for a very select few executives.
Okay. But does that actually benefit? Let's pretend for a second that they even care about the loss of quality of life for way too many fucking people. Does that actually benefit this country at all?
Well, Grant, I'll give you an example. It's been 100 degrees for like 3 weeks now. The past 20 hottest summers that have ever been recorded have been the past 20 summers.
Consecutively, yeah.
And oil executives are getting big bonuses. So you tell me if it's worth it.
I think what Grant's trying to say is like, this is costing millions and millions of pretty much taxpayer money and
Right.
an
And of course we've got-
insurmountable amount of victims across the way. But how much are the CEOs making? Like, are they making like millions and billions?
No,
or?
I'm honestly not even asking that.
Oh, that's what I
Like,
want to know.
In order for
like, are they putting this all on the line for $200K? Because I'm like,
Oh, no. Don't worry. The CEOs are making millions of dollars.
oh, okay. Now,
Hundreds.
now I can sleep at night.
tens of millions for them, sure. But
That's why they're the CEO.
that actually doesn't go back. The only thing that goes into, as far as the government would be concerned, as far as I know, it would be lobbyists.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're spending
Lobbyism
a ton of money
plays a huge
on
part in this.
lobbyism on all this. But does that ever make its way back into, let's say, the infrastructure of our
No.
nation?
You fool.
Which is why it makes no sense.
You fool.
Where's Sam? I need Sam to call you a fool.
You
I know.
hopeful, dreaming fool. No, I know.
Sam calls people fools like no one else does.
He reminds me of like, what was it, like Shao Kahn or from Mortal Kombat? You fool!
He's giving off some Master Roshi vibes.
Yeah,
lately.
definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He just needs to grow that goatee, and
Dude, Sam is Master Roshi.
Sam is Master
You
Roshi.
should go to Comic-Con.
Oh,
That's
yes.
a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways.
So a statistical analysis, again done by the ACLU, has shown that as states turn more to for-profit prisons and private management of state facilities, the incarceration rates actually increase. Crazy. This shouldn't come as a surprise, really. For-profit prison companies use the taxpayer money they receive to lobby extensively for increased incarceration. The two largest for-profit prison companies spent $1.7 million and $1.3 million lobbying the federal government alone, with more money, way more money, going to state lobbying. This does not include the for-profit prison industry's significant donations to political campaigns and PACs. For example, both of the two largest private prison companies each spent $250,000 on President Trump's 2017 inauguration festivities, and once made a single donation of $225,000 to a pro-Trump super PAC.
Yeah. Which a lot of that money is very difficult to track. Good on them for tracking it as well as they did, but we can go ahead and assume that there's more money.
It's literally impossible to
More
track
and more money
the
buried
PAC donations.
elsewhere.
There's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it is very much set up so that you cannot track these. And don't worry, this isn't going to be a Trump bashing episode. This is an everybody episode. Kamala Harris spent plenty of taxpayers' money navigating away from the orders of the federal government in order to illegally detain nonviolent offenders in California in order to continue exploiting their slave labor. But don't worry, we'll get there.
Are we going to talk about Trump and the First Step Act?
The what?
The First Step Act?
No, I'm not going to talk about the First Step Act. There is so much that I haven't.
There's so much, and I was just wondering, like, if that gets covered.
I haven't talked about. Don't worry, we're gonna come up on a pretty good chunk.
Hell yeah.
So as we discussed, Biden banned for-profit, air quotes for the listeners, for-profit prisons, completely privately owned and operated prisons, but didn't do anything for the U.S. Marshals. In fact, actively gave them permission to continue using their private facilities. And ICE is an entirely separate entity from the Bureau of Prisons. Yeah. ICE is a truly horrific setup. ICE must be abolished. It is like if you designed a government bureaucracy to crush the souls of immigrants. It's truly insane. And I'm going to be honest with you, all of y'all, I don't even really talk about ICE anymore after this because I simply do not have the time. People, there's so goddamn much research that goes into this. And I'm going to shout out some sources at the end of this if you want to follow up. But trust me, this is a fucking bouquet of shit from an orchard of shit that I have plucked for you.
Bouquet of shit.
Tell me more.
Again, the executive order doesn't really do anything, but it also has no bearing on state-run facilities that choose to turn over their operations, such as management, healthcare, food service, and more, to private companies. Now, you might be asking yourself, Grant Stein.
This is really hard on all of us.
My apologies. Hold on.
Sorry, he was laughing so hard about the ice thing.
It was really funny.
Yeah, this isn't. I'm sorry, this isn't a real funny episode.
Sorry, go ahead.
So you might ask yourself, why would a private prison even exist?
Hey, Joseph, why would a private prison even exist?
That's a great question, Austin. How does one even make money off of human suffering and rehabilitation? Well, let me give you an example. Let's say you have a family member in prison and you want to send them money to pay for something. Maybe basic necessities like soap or hygiene products like toothpaste or tampons, clothing, or
Because the prisons just don't give that to you.
because they don't give that to you. Maybe you want to give them money to buy something edible that literally doesn't have maggots crawling in it. Well, in many states, you are legally required to go through a company called J-Pay to send money. For approximately 450,000 families, J-Pay is literally the only way to send their loved one money. And J-Pay charges rates as high as 45%.
Isn't that the name of your OnlyFans, Jamie?
It is, yeah.
Join our Patreon right now, and you can sign up.
And you too can get access to JPay. For people who are living paycheck to paycheck and doing the good old-fashioned bill shuffle where you have to decide if you'll get gas to go to work or eat more than cup noodles this week, they simply can't afford these fees. JPay's parent company, Securus Technologies, takes this a step further by charging families for phone and virtual visits, which is a $1.2 billion a year industry.
Damn.
It's making that $12. It got my pocket seem really small.
And for a lot of prisoners, those phone calls and visits are the only things that keep them going. They're certainly not being given the tools to better themselves or the opportunity to do more than prepare for their next prison sentence. In this country, the laws have been streamlined to create a direct pipeline for young, vulnerable people to go straight out of school and into prison. And then once they've been in prison before, to continue getting broken down and incarcerated again. In a study done on the families of prisoners, 1 in 3 of those families reported going into debt to pay for phone calls and visitation services just to see their loved one who's behind bars.
You said 1 in 3?
1 in 3 families
That's wild.
has gone into debt because their loved one was imprisoned.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And that loved one now has priors, so...
Well, that's the thing. Do you think that those families that have gone into debt are in any position to help support their loved ones when they leave prison, to help try to continue the rehabilitation or to try to set themselves up to succeed, to better themselves?
Why don't they just go to college? once they get out?
It's coming up. Do you think that those families have the means to pay for ankle bracelets, drug testing, breathalyzers, lawyer fees, or for court costs? Of course they can't. They're being fed back into the eternally grinding mill that breaks down everyone to squeeze as much profit from them as they can until they leave those people broken, hopeless, and eventually dead. And if you guys aren't smiling hard enough, we're going to get to talk about the 13th Amendment.
Hell yeah.
The big 1-3?
The big 1-3. 1-3. Let's talk about prison labor and what the labor really is. So the 13th Amendment, there is a growing knowledge and interest in the ramifications of the 13th Amendment. There's a growing legal scholarship about it because it's unfortunately been ignored for a while until recently. But it is important to note that this amendment has provided a legal basis for slavery since its inception. It is 100% accurate to say that true emancipation has never happened in the United States, and let's go to the amendment itself to find out why. It reads as, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction, except as a punishment for a crime.
There's actually a really good Netflix documentary on all that.
There is. It's a good documentary. Keeping that in mind, I'm going to introduce y'all to a company called Unicorn. Now, that sounds like a company where unicorns make fun shoes for each other.
I was going to say, that sounds like they're missing a letter.
Yeah, it does, right? Well, it's a corporation that is actually wholly owned by the United States government.
How does that work?
Well, they're the government, so they can do it.
That doesn't sound legal. Shut up.
Oh, yeah? Well, we say what's legal.
No, wait. I thought we did.
idiots. You've been falling for that since 1776. You dumb bitch.
Bomb his house.
Unicor was created in 1934 as a prison labor program, and this bastardized Frankenstein-like entity in 2020 made nearly $500 million in net sales using slave labor. Now, if you're wondering if the government having stewardship over prisoners could at all conflict with using them as a source of profit and labor, don't worry. Under U.S. federal law, all physically abled inmates who are not a security risk or have a health exception are required to work.
I thought it was on a volunteer-based system.
It is if you get volunteered for it by the people who will put you in solitary confinement if you don't do what they tell you to do.
That's one way to do it.
But don't worry, Unicor is not
It's
done.
effective too.
Yeah. You know why it's effective? Because Unicor, legally speaking, is a mandatory source for federal departments. So if Unicor, and here just replace Unicor in your head with slave labor in big neon, produces something that a federal department requires, they are legally obligated to use taxpayer money to purchase those goods produced with slave labor.
This time, slave labor's got one of the neon letters. It's kind of flickering.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the episode, it'll be the L and it'll be save labor, and then we'll all organize and kill the capitalists. That'd be nice. Some of the things that Unicor produces, textiles, electronics, metals, furniture, plastics, wood products, call centers. They run call centers and help desks. They run distribution warehouse. They also produce jackets, uniforms, helmets, and flak vests for the militaries. For the military.
Which call centers? Because if they're the ones that are calling me about my extended warranty, I will go AWOL.
Is it Comcast? Do you know?
Maybe.
I mean, it might be, because if you've ever had to call Comcast, those people sound miserable.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I just want to cut my bill. I'm sorry. It's not my fault.
A more painfully ironic thing, they also produce goods used by the police, specifically body armor and holsters. I mean, can you imagine? You're sentenced by an unfair, uncaring system. Like, maybe you fucked up and maybe you were in the wrong place at the wrong time, but then you're inducted. Yeah. Then you are inducted into a monolithic institution that dehumanizes and abuses you, forces you to work, and then you end up making arms and armor for the people who put you there in the first place.
Look, can you make them like just a little brittle?
I imagine that assembly line. Somebody's like, does anybody else see the irony in this?
Yeah. They're like,
Your Honor, this should constitute cruel and unusual punishment. If
get back
not
to work,
ironic.
402. Yeah. Sorry.
Someone call Alanis Morissette, am I right? But don't worry, because in some states, prisoners get paid for their labor.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
I hope it's a lot of money.
It's some.
It's 30 an hour or 40 an hour?
The average wage in prison is 63 cents per hour.
Yeah.
Oh, 63 an hour. Good job.
Yeah, but you know what? That's okay, because in Texas, Georgia, Arkansas, and Alabama, prisoners aren't paid for their work at all.
Yeah, that's true.
What?
Yep. In many states, labor is actually required as terms of a prisoner's service, and refusing to work will get you written up, face disciplinary actions, or even get you sent to solitary confinement.
This may be a weird question.
Which, by the way, all those lead to extended sentences, by the way, or a decrease in probation access.
That's exactly right.
When you, let's say you go to a prison where you get paid the 63 cents an hour, is the food any cheaper, or is it like a Reese's peanut butter cup is still like $3-4?
Funny you say that, because there was a story about a woman that I was reading. She was in prison, and she was they were given a very, very small amount of like sanitary napkins and like tampons for their menstruation, right? Mm-hmm. This woman made so little money that in order to buy one pad from the prison commissary, she literally had to save up a month's worth of wages to get another one.
Fuck, man.
Or get a medical exemption from a for-profit healthcare provider to dispense her more sanitary napkins.
But she needs more than one a month.
Yep.
Nah, once you do it. And then you save up for the next month.
Just ring it out.
I was going to make that joke, and I'm glad I didn't.
Come on, ladies, put some elbow grease into it.
get those working hands to use.
Oh
you know?
my god. She's rinsing it off in the fucking toilet.
Not the toilet. That's where my wine is made.
It's red wine tonight. All right. We're done.
Good job, Greg.
And there's the bar.
Grant coming up the bat for one thing, Grant.
You know what's even worse? I've seen prison cells, and there's not sinks in those things.
No, there sure aren't.
No,
Are there not?
No, it's
yeah,
just
a
the
lot of times
toilet.
they're not. Yeah,
Yeah.
Why?
the
Because
sinks are
fuck
in the
them.
shower.
That's why.
Huh?
The sinks are in the showers.
Yeah, but a sink is still useful. What the like? What is the? Is there not like?
They probably claim it's a safety issue. Most likely, it's because that's extra plumbing they didn't want to put into the infrastructure of the prison.
Precisely.
Don't we have? I want to say it was like in Europe. They have like these toilet sink kind of situations.
Toilet.
Like a wet shower, basically. That's in a cell. Yeah.
No, well, it's like it's a one thing.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a toilet, a sink, and then a shower head.
oh, is it?
And most of the time they have like full privacy when they're.
No, it's not that. It's like it's basically like think of like a normal toilet, but it has like a hand sink above it. And the idea is that like you take a dump, then you wash your hands,
Yeah.
and the water coming off of your hands, you use that to actually flush the
Yeah.
toilet.
Yeah.
So it's all like recycled water.
Right. Because they actually figured something out.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
pretty decent.
So, quick, funny little story. When I was going to court and stuff, I would go.
What a hell of a setup.
I was.
I mean, it's
I would go.
hilarious already.
Well, I would go into the restroom, right, and I could go to the urinal. I'm like, why is everything covered in piss? And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm at the courthouse. If I was, like if a lot of sentencing gets happened there, if you get a bad
Fuck 'em.
sentence, you're just like, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. I'd be fucking painting the walls.
Yeah, dude. I'd be shitting on the floor. What are you gonna do? Take me to prison? But private prisons, they don't just make money off of the emotional devastation of their slaves. They also make it on healthcare. Because in America, the only place you are guaranteed healthcare is, you guessed it, prison. Red, white, and blue, baby!
July 4th.
As of 2018, more than half of all U.S. states contract their prison healthcare services to outside private companies. This generates a yearly revenue of $4 billion.
But they're really good, right?
But they haven't figured out. It's like the healthcare in like Canada and stuff, right?
Sure. We'll talk about that. Prisoners, besides struggling with the standard health issues that most Americans have, struggle routinely with both mental illness and substance abuse, like we talked about. Harsher sentencing laws for the war on drugs.
I just put them in a room by themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Fixes
Who
everything.
cares if they're going through the DTs?
Yeah, they'll get over it.
Yeah, and the mass closure of mental health facilities as well have, again, funneled many, literally millions of people into this system. Mental illness and substance abuse are two things that I'm not at all familiar with, for the record.
Go on.
It's a really long pause.
Companies like Advanced Correctional Healthcare in their training materials take great pains to illustrate to their staff what constitutes the legal basis for bare minimum of care. And before you think, well, that's maybe just one nurse or one company, this is the entire framework for not only for-profit healthcare, but prison healthcare as an industry. A review of 500 jails found that jails relying on the top 5 leading prison healthcare companies had higher death rates than facilities ran by government agencies. One of the key reasons behind this is that prison healthcare companies, much like overall private prisons themselves, are paid per prisoner and typically have a fixed dollar amount for each person. Their contracts will state a bare minimum of prisoners that will be in those facilities, which then tell the companies how much money they're likely to be making. Now, kind of just think about that for a second. So not only are you already reducing each person down to a fixed dollar amount, but you, as the government, are promising a corporation a bare minimum of prisoners. So one, you are thereby creating a pretty obvious incentive for companies to spend as little as possible.
Sounds like a quota.
It is absolutely a quota. So you are incentivizing them, one, to spend as little as possible on these people in regards to food, clothing, education, and healthcare, because every dollar that you don't spend on that is another dollar that you get to put into your pockets. You are turning rehabilitation and stewardship of someone into a business, and the only way to make a profit is to simply not spend money on these people. And two, you are now creating a demand for more prisoners, a demand that the police, the Supreme Court, and the government are clearly more than happy to meet. Let me spin you a little yarn right quick about one of our shittier states, Arizona. When Arizona made the switch from state-run prison medical facilities to private companies, they opened bidding contracts to see which one of these hellish companies would take the bait. Only none of them did. The reason was because the terms of the bids that Arizona set up were so dirt cheap that none of the companies could make a profit. Arizona already spent so little money on healthcare for prisoners that there was literally no profit or wiggle room left for the companies. Now, instead of deciding to continue to run their own state facilities, Arizona officials actually told companies, you know what, that's okay. You can just charge us more. So when taxpayers complain about the cost of providing care for inmates, don't worry. It's actually more expensive for inmates to be treated worse than they were before. In fact, Corazon, another for-profit prison healthcare company that Arizona uses, was found to have denied medical treatment to inmates. Listen to this. Found to have denied medical treatment to inmates at least 16,000 times in an 8-month period.
God damn.
And that was from the state's own records. That was just
that's what they kept track of.
Yeah, that was just what they kept track of. Arizona was actually forced to pay fines for the terrible treatment of prisoners, and yet somehow still paid out performance bonuses to Corazon's executives in the amount of more than $2.5 million.
Oh, well, then, okay.
That's
Silver
capitalism,
lining.
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because we don't have an unlimited amount of time, I'd like to give y'all a list of some of the products sold by companies that use prison slave labor, and rest assured this is by no means a comprehensive list. Pepsi, Mountain Dew, and Dr. Pepper, Old Spice, Gatorade, Crest Toothpaste, Slim Jims, Orville Redenbacher Popcorn, Chef Boyardee,
Not chef.
Nicorette Gum,
What'd you say?
Tums, Nicorette.
Oh,
Tums,
Damn it.
which hurts me because I eat Tums all
I
the
use
time.
Tums all the time. Wait, what about Kroger brand Tums?
Kroger brand Tums are fine.
All right, sweet.
I think.
Cool.
Kroger workers are also union workers, so I guess that's okay.
All right, sweet.
I was worried you're going to say Kroger right after that. Kroger.
Kroger, damn it, I was wrong. Tampax, tampons.
he goes, Kroger, damn it. Somebody else is like, ha, and Publix.
Gillette razors, and also Xanax, Midol, Prozac, Claritin, and Benadryl.
How does Xanax get thrown in here?
Because they use them to make the drugs. They use them to press them. Which is so funny to think of, like, prisoners who are not provided mental health care. They're not provided sanitary products. And they're not
They're
given
sneaking
medicine.
that powder off the top.
And they
You know
get to
are.
make it.
You know they're sneaking that shit off the top.
And good for them.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
hope
good
they are.
for
I hope they are.
I really hope that there's a guy somewhere being like, I got you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
give me a pack of ramen and I got your like month supply of Xanax that you actually need. You know what I mean?
You know how like in most like prison movies or shows, there's like they kind of tell you like you have to find like whatever your keep, like find your keep, like however that is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like I'm really good at cutting hair, so like that's how I make ends meet.
Sure.
And no one like fucks with me because like, oh, he cuts hair.
Don't
Yeah.
kill the barber. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Same, like we make a movie, same concept, but it's a therapist in prison.
Don't
That's
kill
actually
the
pretty good.
therapist.
That's pretty
That's
good.
the name of it.
What do you think?
Therapist in prison?
A therapist in
I'm down with
prison
this.
who's just like someone's about to stab him. It's like,
That's a good
you seem like
series.
you're suffering from some type of complex PTSD. He's like,
That should be a TV series.
It's a series.
that's a series?
Yeah.
That could be our next project.
That'll be our
Yeah.
next project, Daddy. We're in it.
You heard it here first.
Trademark.
trademark.
Trashville.
Trademark.
Trademark.
We called it. Dibs, suckers.
You idiots.
And that's just a very brief overview of just how prisons make money off of people, how they have artificially swollen and intentionally swollen the numbers of prisoners in the United States. And you can join us for part 2, which is going to be called The Rantoning.
I have a question.
AKA, what does the future of private prisons look like?
Ooh.
Oh.
I was sad, but now I'm intrigued.
Before we end
I'm
this,
sad.
I'm still
Intrigued?
pretty sad.
before we
It's going to get sadder.
before we
Sad
carry on,
treat.
do these companies like Pepsi, Gillette, and whatever, do they have to say exactly how these prisoners are being used, or do they just have to say that like some of the labor?
No, they just have to legally disclose that slave labor is used. In fact, they don't even really have to disclose it. It's more just like if you take the time to look at where they're, because so many of these corporations, here's another thing, is that so many of these corporations are owned by mega conglomerates, right? If you look at a bunch of different brands in your grocery store, you think, oh, there's a bunch of different companies that make all this cereal, right? Or these like
Right, no.
There's
cookies
actually-
or whatever.
Yeah, there's a guy on Instagram
There's actually like 5.
that I
No, that
follow.
literally.
Right, yeah.
He goes through like the grocery store or whatever,
Mhm.
and he'll like the cereal aisle, for example, and he'll like just go like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. They're all owned by this conglomerate.
Yeah.
Right. That's like 4 different cereal companies. And he's like, and they also do all of these things, you
Yep.
know, which
And then General Mills is owned by these people who actually
Yeah.
do this also. It's
Right.
a lot of these companies, we talk a lot about, or people talk a lot about the Illuminati and like, you know, like people who run things behind the scenes, and like at the risk of sounding like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat even more than I already probably sound like all the time, there really truly are people that run things, but it's not as like, it's not secretive satanic cults of people who are eating babies. It's business people who are fucking underage traffic women who just dump money into buying up all of these other brands and then like consolidating, making them shittier, and then filling not only the government, but every corporation, every business that they can think of with their own stooges.
Yeah. I mean, if you've got a really good law degree and have a weird hobby of reading into massively long, like contracts, if you will, you can figure out a whole bunch. This is not a satanic cabal. There are not Democrats out there drinking baby blood. These
that
are
we
just,
know of.
Only some.
These are conglomerates of corporations that have been merged and swapped and traded, and hedge funds that have cut them down at the knees in order they can buy a lot of the like trademarks or intellectual property of these other ones in order to like build up more profits. In fact, it's just boring. It's just
very boring.
Legalese.
Actually,
that is the true satanic cabal.
I don't know if you know this, but in the movie Blade, when Blade shows up to what seems like a club and he's killing a whole bunch of vampires that are sucking blood, that was just a DNC like house party.
Yeah, if you look close enough, you can see Debbie Wasserman Schultz in the background.
But one
Just Lane's the ones handing out the shots.
Yeah. I mean, there are also like secret cabals of rich people who like to dress up, and they like probably do kill people. I mean, we could get into the stats of like
there's skull and bones
of
but
like trafficking people
still.
and like people who go missing in everyday life, but that's a whole
Like-
fucking
but,
other-
Like Devil Wears Prada.
what
The hell
but
are
I'm
you
saying
talking
that's
The
their
Tom Cruise movie?
That's their dark hobby.
Are you talking about Eyes Wide Shut
No.
Devil's Wears Prada's Meryl Streep.
and Anne Hathaway?
Yeah.
Which one am I thinking of then?
I don't know what
Yeah.
the
I
hell
think you're thinking of
No,
Eyes Wide Shut.
it's the one where Tom Cruise.
Where Anne Hathaway has to
Oh,
No.
cocktail.
learn about
Oh, where
herself.
Tom Cruise
in the-
works for
No,
Meryl
Tom-
Streep, and she's a total bitch.
Tom
and,
Cruise
like, criticizes his outfits.
Tom Cruise discovers that weird like cult out in the middle of nowhere that's like a big like sex cult. They all wear masks.
I think that's a Scientology documentary.
No.
you figured that part out, but I did want to say, so I don't know if you know this, Joseph. This actually ties into illegal immigration and what's it called? What is it when minors work and are in the workforce legally?
Child labor.
It is Eyes Wide Shut.
It was
Yeah.
Eyes Wide
Yeah.
Shut.
Okay.
Yeah.
But over the past 2 years, there's been a lot of child migrants that were undocumented and went missing, and they have been found working for different companies for basically pennies to the dollar, working these extremely very dangerous jobs, and have recently gotten busted. And they basically, like what you saw, a lot of these companies like Doritos, Nabisco, McDonald's,
Tyson.
I think Nike, Reebok, Pepsi,
yeah.
like
yeah.
they were all
Most
like
clothing
listed,
companies.
and then each company basically is like they have this tactic of oh, we'll do a contract under this person, and this person will do a contract under this person. And there's a shell company, and yada, yada, yada. So they're able to deny even having any knowledge of
exactly, because it's limited liability, because they're like, well, we hired this corporation to, you know, or this other company to provide us coffee beans. We didn't know they were using child labor. You know, how could we have known? We just asked them for beans and they gave us beans.
But over the past like year and some change, they've been busting more and more of these shops that are doing it, and finding also prisoners. And one of the biggest things is like they see that these prisoners and migrant workers are all like getting injured, but because they have no one to really report to, they just have to work through their injury, and more often than not become more injured, permanently injured, die.
Yeah.
And if you want to look into it, it's a very sad story. There's lots of young children that like get their back broken mining.
Sure.
There was one where like they have to make tar, and then like they found like a whole bunch of like 8 to 13-year-olds just like horrifically injured, like missing arms, missing limbs, and then having to work next to prisoners. And it's not like either party can help each other.
You can look into the Congo or look into the Sudan, where active genocides are happening right now, and you can see just thousands of essentially indentured children who are like pawing through trying to get lithium, you know, so that we can have fucking shitty cyber trucks.
Yeah.
But they're pretty cool though.
But I can play Cuphead while it's been parked.
Dude, my car can fart.
Well, tune into
that was fun.
the next episode.
Was it?
No.
No. And we're not even halfway through.
We are halfway through.
No, we are.
That's what I meant to say.
That's what I did say.
We're
In fact,
done with this week.
We're a little bit more than
My brain's a
halfway
little
through.
scrambled
Hell
from this half.
Well, tune into next week's episode, and you get to hear the Tesla truck commercial.
And the story of Jerry.
Oh, they get to hear that.
They get to hear that.
I thought we were doing Jerry's story.
Well, we can do both.
All right, we'll do both. I guess my testicle swole is not good enough to carry the episode.
Well, we have two
we'll
commercials,
talk
and we
about
have to talk
Jerry.
about Jerry.
Yeah.
We have plenty of time for everything.
We'll see you next time. This is Austin.
This is Jamie.
This is Grant.
This is Joseph.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Like what you hear? Subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Trashville_USA. And if there's a true crime story you want the gang to cover, email us at don'temailtrashville@gmail.com. Murder Schmurder is produced by Jamie. Our tracking engineer is Grant. And our mix and mastering engineer is Julie. Incidental music and our theme song is provided by Jules. This has been another production of